All right, cool. Number two. As sounds very similar to something from the Igor album, which you may or may not know. Wasn't able to get the MIDI for the lead line, but I can show you how I've processed it anyway. That, as I say, is in the pack. So if you do like that, you're more than welcome to grab it. Let's start with the drums. Let's have a listen to them, and then we'll break down exactly how they're made. Okay, massive. Clearly, no bass in this track, not needed because all the bass is coming from the drums. What we've done is, which is I think it's quite an interesting thing, which is, I haven't seen that many people doing, is we're basically using toms to provide us with that bottom end. So what we've got here is we've got one called tom pitched, which is a tom drum which has been dropped down 7 semitones here. We play it. Clearly a huge amount of weight in there. So if we listen to the drums, you'll be able to hear it in action. So that's what they're doing, is that's given us all our weight. If we look at what's happened to it, we've used an EQ. I've taken out a little bit of this 1.4K where it was starting to sound a little bit slappy because we are pitching it a long way. So you're going to start to get weird artifacts of things which probably shouldn't be there. So if we listen to that, and you'll hear why I took it out. We're then going into a tape machine because we love it. And then I've got a final EQ just tidying some things up. So this one's just taking out a little bit of that low mid, so 132 hertz. Things start to get a little bit doughy, a little bit muddy. We can listen to it. So all that rumble is great, but it's just going to start getting in the way, especially when we've got a piano player and potentially a vocalist, because we need to take into account this is ready for an MC or a rapper. So we need to be aware of that. So if we look at what we've got our pitch tom, the original tom, then a kick, and our huge snare, which as you can hear, as we mentioned before, we're able to drag effects onto it. We've dragged this nice plate reverb from Liquid Sonics via the Slate bundle, just to add a little bit more 3D and a little bit more depth. Now, the role of the kick in this isn't necessarily to provide the weight because we've got so much in that tom drum. What it's there for is to add attack and a little bit more definition. So if we play the drum loop without it and then add it, you'll hear it doesn't make it particularly that much fatter, but it just means we've actually got a kick drum that we can identify with. Sounds a little bit chunkier, a little bit more vibey, and also, like I say, we can pick it out, especially on these different speakers. So one thing to note is I've already checked the phase on this because we've got two low-end instruments playing at identical times. They could easily be clashing and be out of phase with each other, which means we're going to get cancellation, we're going to get frequency loss, and it's going to sound terrible. You can do that by using the utility tool. All you have to do is drag it onto what you're checking, so kick, and then we turn it off, flip the phase on both sides in case it's stereo. Either or for me, really, not too much of an issue. So there it is. We can then go down to this second section, which is our percussion. Quite a nice little pattern, as you can see. Cool little tip if you're trying to get something to roll a little bit, as you would with a live drummer. Hard, soft, hard, soft, hard, soft. All nice organic sounds. Complement the main drums really nicely, so together. And then on the group, I think we've done the same as last time. Yep, we've gone Decapitator, a little bit more top end this time, and a little bit of 6K, just to bring out the top of the snare and to open the drums a little bit, because I was finding they were a little bit dull, just because we haven't particularly got a hi-hat. All right, up next, piano. So let's have a listen to it with all the plugins on. Very cool, kind of sounding quite 70s, a little bit psychedelic, some nice movement on there. So what we started with initially was V2 piano, which is from the Arturia collection. Went for an upright, didn't want things to be too grand because we know kind of like Tyler has that kind of small room vibey kind of thing going off. So to mirror that, like I said, we've gone for an upright, just with a little stereo pair on it. Still sounding quite lush and rich, but as I say, it's not a big Steinway in a kind of orchestral room, if you will. Next, we've gone into Verve Suite. Again, we wanted to really push that room idea. We're actually using a plate, but we've gone full stereo, a little bit of chorus on it, and over 50%. So we're starting to really place this piano in a space now. Sounding lush. Could have stopped there, but I thought, nope, let's push it a little bit further. And we've gone for another Baby Audio plugin, which again, really becoming quite a big fan of, if I'm honest. It's their Super VHS, because we wanted that psychedelic 70s, almost kind of like freaky sound that has a little bit of a sampled edge to it as well. So we've got some static, which makes it feel like it's coming off a record. And then with our mix at half, we've brought in a little bit of heat, which is drive. Just a little bit, starting to take it out of the box, starting to feel a little bit processed. A tiny bit of wash, which is reverb. And then a tiny bit of drift, which is basically their emulation of a tape machine that's old and it's got fluster and it's got wow. So it's starting to kind of like glide around. We've got some pitch modulation. So listen to it. Also sounds like it's got a little bit of flange in it as well, which I think is a really nice addition to it. And then finally, the lead line. As I say, I haven't got the MIDI for this one, unfortunately. I presume it was made on a Juno. Possibly. Hard to say. Could be a Moog. Then what I've done is I've gone to our friend Outer Space. We're trying to carry on with this 70s theme. You know, we want to like keep the aesthetic right for this track. So every single time, it's got to be a space echo. A little bit of echo, a little bit of reverb, which is a spring in this case. And then we've got quarter note and eighth triplet. And we can hear the tail of that. And then lastly, sidechain. So all together.